Are you setting yourself up for regret by 2028? Tonight, we are going to uncover 3 investments you cannot afford to skip today. This is 2025. In 3 years, are you going to regret if you miss these 3 investments? You know, if 3 years' time, maybe 5 years' time, some people will be living off their investments. I missed Apple. I missed Bitcoin. I have missed so many such opportunities in my life. And I look back with regret. But regret does not pay the bill. Regret is not a financial strategy. And did you know the number 1 cause of stress all over the world, whether it is in Australia or Hong Kong or somewhere in Africa or in America or in Europe, what is the number 1 source of stress all over the world? Type it in the comment section, everybody, as you join. What is the number 1 source of stress, even in your own life? Emmanuel says, I'm doing great. Thank you, Emmanuel. I appreciate that. Okay. What is the number 1 source of stress all over the world? It doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter your culture. What is the number 1 cause of stress? There you go. There you go. Stella says finance. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, Ade is joining us from sea. Ade, is that a cruise? Are you on cruise or you're working offshore? Yes. Free to be changed says financial pressure. Yeah, Emmanuel says lack of money. Smooth says working for others, and it still comes down to money. Phoebe says ego, lack of money. Absolutely. And now the way that this stress is set up is when you don't invest, when you don't observe what is going on around you, like in the world of financial opportunities, and you then don't take advantage of it, then you are setting up even more stress. So can you imagine that you're already stressed by money this year? You're already stressed up to your neck. And can you imagine in 2028, in the next 3 years, regretting that you didn't invest in these 3 things that would have saved you and canceled all the stress in your life? You see, I have one objective, so my channel has what we call a channel creed. When I teach you how to set up your own YouTube channel and to monetize it, I'm going to take you through this exercise of developing your channel creed. What is one belief that you share with other people who will be listening to you? And do you know that belief for me, for my channel? It's that everyone deserves to be free from money stress so that they can pursue God's purpose for their lives and also spend time with their family. That's the creed. And then if you are that person, that's probably why you're here, to eliminate money stress so that we can focus on God's plan for our lives and also give time to family. Money stress is separating families, destroying marriages. Money stress is making people go mentally ill and all kinds of things happening around us. And so the question is, will you regret skipping these investments by 2028? Okay, so let's talk about the 3 investments you cannot afford to ignore right now. Because if you miss them, you might miss the greatest wave of wealth of this decade. I believe that we are at the base of the greatest outburst of wealth in this decade. Just like it came with Bitcoin sometime around 2010, 2011, and many of us missed it. We are at the base of another one right now. Will you miss it? Will you regret in 2028? That's just 3 years away. Regret is expensive, but you see, it doesn't show up on your bank alert. Whenever you get a credit alert, you never see, even though regret is expensive, you never see a regret credit alert, okay? So this is why what we're talking about tonight, because in 2028 you will either be harvesting or you'll be regretting. So investment number one, make a note, get your journal close by, make sure you're always making notes, and also you're engaging with me in the chat section. Whenever you hear something that is an aha moment to you, don't let it go, capture it. Because that might just be all that you needed to hear this year. It might just be some sentence, something I say, some insight that you catch from this session. That might all be what you hear. Because every day people are sending me messages. People are sending me DMs, WhatsApp messages saying, thank you. Your teachings have totally rewired my mind. And somebody said, since I listened to you, that my portfolio has gone up 15% in the past 1 month. So pay attention, reflect, write. Don't just listen. Pay attention with a mind to do it, because all of us have the same opportunity. Okay, so investment number one that you shouldn't miss in 2025 is emerging markets. Please type it in the comment section. Emerging markets. Everyone, type it in the comment section. Emerging markets. So let me paint a picture for you. You know, in the 1980s, everyone ignored China. We all ignored China in the 1980s. But today, almost overnight, China is a global superpower. And for those of you who've been to China, you can tell us, if everyone who goes to China and comes back says China is in 2050 and the rest of the world is in 2025. If you have been to China, please just confirm in the comment section, just type it, whether China is living in the same age as well. But just 1980, just a couple of decades ago, China was totally ignored. Now, why am I saying that? Because in 2025, that's how people are also ignoring Africa and Southeast Asia. And you see, the way the world looked down on Africa and Southeast Asia, that is the way the world looked down on China in those days. But today, China is just incredible. One of my private clients that I'm coaching is currently traveling in China. And during our session today, she was just showing me, videos and pictures of what's going on there. China is in 2050. And I'm guaranteeing you, that's how Africa and Southeast Asia is going to be in no time. So these are the new frontiers of wealth. Please type frontiers of wealth there. And I'm going to show you and give you some very practical examples, because it's already happening, but very few people catch it. And even in the Nigerian stock market, the amount of money coming from outside of Africa into the Nigerian stock market, which is about the fastest growing stock market in the world today. Did you know that? That's actually like the best performing stock market in the world. The way money is coming into Nigeria means that some people are already sensing it and taking position. I will talk about that later. Okay, so these are the new frontiers of wealth. The future is not evenly distributed. It's hiding in plain sight. And it's usually behind a border that you've never been to. And I encourage those of us who don't travel and who've never left our home countries. You don't need money to travel. I know it's a controversial statement. You need the intention. You need the intention and the burning desire to travel. I'm telling you. I know when I say these things, people, so there's some people will sneer, oh, it's motivational speaking. But no, I'm telling you what is real in my life. I can travel to anywhere today. I just will it. I have never been able to explain it. I will it. And somehow the tickets come, somehow everything comes. But I spend months. That's how I've been wanting to travel to Costa Rica, spend maybe a year there, with my wife or something. I've been dreaming it, I've been desiring it. Today I even had to make contact because Costa Rica doesn't have an embassy here. And then they said to get visa, you have to either go to Spain or you go to Nairobi. So, and then one day, you'll just see me there. And that's how I travel. So I'm saying, if you are the kind of person, you haven't left your home country, I plead with you, travel, even if it's the neighboring country. If you haven't been to Africa, you haven't been to Southeast Asia, you haven't been to Dubai, go to those places. Because many times, the most powerful education, financial education, that you can give yourself is to travel. It rewires your mind totally. Optimistic says, please help me invest in the Nigerian stock market. I'm in Ghana. I don't know which app to use to invest. Yeah, so I can tell you what you do after this. We have a mentorship. I have a mentorship group. We have people from Ghana, Cameroon, everywhere. People living in America and Canada over there. And so we have all those there. And then we also have invited stockbrokers in the mentorship group who help people to open up their accounts. Okay, so we are talking about the investment number one, emerging markets. Africa will be home to 1.7 billion people by 2020, according to data. Africa will be home to 1.7 million people by 2030. India will overtake Japan and Germany as the third biggest economy by 2027. It's already happening. And then 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies are in Africa. So this should tell you something. They should tell you something about emerging markets. That's where the wealth. That's why if you don't invest in emerging markets in 2028, you will regret it. Wealth will leave you behind. I'm telling you, because that's where it is now. Okay, I'll give you an example. Just in November of 2024, so a friend of mine invested $10,000 in one Nigerian stock, in agro business in Nigeria, one agro business listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. $10,000. As I speak to you today, in July 2025, so that's like 8 months later, that amount that he invested 8 months ago is now $28,300. This is the magic of emerging markets, and I can guarantee you, you won't make that kind of money. I don't know how you can make that kind of money in all the, maybe in the US or Canada, an average person, making that kind of money. That's like 280 something percent in 8 months. In emerging market, investing here. And that's the power of early bets in growing places. So you are taking position in growing places. Now, secondly, one of my clients I consulted for, this must have been 2018, 2019, thereabout, before the pandemic. As at the time, it's a fintech in Africa based in Lagos. They started in Lagos. As at that time, they started in 2016, but by 2018, they were already valued at $170 million. Some of you might know the company I'm talking about. Okay, so that was in 2018, 2019. As we speak today, 2025, that company is valued at $3 billion. And if you know the company I'm talking about, just put it in the comment section. So how can you get in? How can you position yourself in the emerging markets? The Nigerian stock market is one place, like I've just illustrated. And you can also look out for the early stage startups involving payment. Africa and then India and most of these places have been excluded financially. There's been, what you can call like financial racism against Africa. Up to today, I can't take payment with PayPal in Africa. I can't take payments. And then before people in other parts of the world, if somebody in Estonia wants to buy my product, it's practically impossible. We're sort of digitally segregated. But that is changing because a lot of fintechs and ideas are coming, startups doing incredible things, like the company that I talked about that's valued at more than $3 billion today. And then they'll be coming public. Also in the Nigerian stock market, they are going to be listed in 2026. That's a whole lot. And you better position yourself when they list to have that IPO. And you see what Dangote is doing also across Africa. Incredible. Just the other day, just a few days ago, he completed a deal with the Ethiopian government to start a $3 billion fertilizer plant there. He already has refinery in Lagos, and these things are changing the architecture of things in the world. And these businesses is building a world. They are global scale fertilizer plants. So you can imagine what that will do for food in Africa. 1.7 billion people by 2030. That's a lot of mouth to feed. That's a lot of services, meaning that also the economy of Africa by 2030 will be approaching like a $5 trillion economy. Position yourself in it. Okay, so ignore emerging markets, and then you're ignoring emerging wealth. Ignoring emerging markets means ignoring emerging wealth. And I tell you, some very smart venture capitalists are investing crazily in Africa. So someone gave a venture capital, a United States, an American venture capitalist. They gave them my number, my contacts. They said, if you want to pick some smart companies, because my main work is actually coaching, businesses, small businesses, helping small businesses to scale. Now, they said, talk to Ogbo, that he will be able to tell you businesses that are doing well that you can invest in this part of the world. And in fact, in West Africa, and then some bit of Southern Africa and Eastern Africa. Now, he says, we had a meeting at Victoria Island. So we went to have coffee somewhere in a bar. And at the time they came to me was the peak of the terrorism, because that's another excuse that people actually gave to stay away from some of these places. And so there was a lot of terror attacks happening in the country around that time. So before our meeting, or after they told me their intention, I said to them, wait a minute, Jeff, something I don't understand. Why Nigeria? Why would you come to put in such amount of money, millions of dollars? These guys know what we don't know. In a country like this, you're hearing about terrorism, you're hearing about Boko Haram and all that. Both of them, they looked at each other and then laughed. They say that that's actually where they prefer to invest. And they said that Nigeria, the case of Nigeria, was nothing compared to what they have experienced in the Philippines. They have investments there. And at that time was the time that there was, they were telling me there was like a president or so who was, just anyhow crushing drug dealers and all kinds of things, doing all kinds of things. Very dangerous place. People being short, here and there. And they invested there. So if you ignore emerging markets, you're ignoring emerging wealth. Okay, so investment number 2 is in green tech and energy. And even talking about the energy, green tech and energy, look at all this. If you're thinking about Africa, 1.7 billion people in a few years. Can you imagine the massive energy? In fact, the continent is so energy hungry, whether it is Uganda, or is South Africa, or is Ghana, or Nigeria, the most energy hungry spot in the universe, where 230 million people share like 5,000 megawatts of electricity. which is not even enough to power one university in the United States. And the whole country is scrambling for that. Most of the time I'm talking to you people, I'm using my diesel generator. But you remember I've told you that problems are payments in disguise. Problems are payments. They are payment receipts in disguise. So your money, your wealth always comes like problems. But then many times, we don't look at the wealth. We see the problems and then we start complaining. So green technology is where the world is shifting to sustainability. And then companies are leading the charge and seeing massive growth. So I know a particular business school, a massive world-class business school. The whole facility, is entirely green. And it's constructed green. And so it is a massive movement. So you think about Tesla, or you think about solar energy firms, and then imagine investing today in the next solar Tesla company. And so you've got to ask yourself, what would investing in green technology and energy mean for your portfolio by 2028? Massive, massive. Now, according to Bloomberg, the green tech sector is projected to reach $1 trillion by 2030. And the people who are going to make this money are not the people complaining about the way things are in your country. So they're the people who position themselves, who start right now. Okay. So before the times of Rockefeller and all that, energy was about barrels and pipelines. But in today's world, it's about batteries and breakthroughs. And so watch that. There's also some other big data, some other amazing piece of data about this particular investment portfolio or vehicle. The clean energy market is set to hit $1.2 trillion globally. And then over $500 billion in government subsidies has already been pledged to green tech. I saw a headline sometime yesterday. I didn't read the article, but I saw a headline that even the Nigerian NGX, the Nigerian group exchange or something, the Nigerian exchange, the people who operate the Nigerian stock market. So the NGX has received some kind of subsidy from the European Union or something on energy. So the governments are pledging billions of dollars in it. And then what I also find very interesting is that according to data, the price of solar panels has dropped 89% in past decade. So solar panels 20 years ago was a lot of money. It was just a conversation of multi-billionaires and millionaires. But today, you walk around the neighborhood, see like solar panel is affordable. So how do you participate? Where should you look? Look for ETFs like iShares Clean Energy or TAN. These are solar ETFs. They are available in your Bamboo app and then different places. Then look for startups, electric vehicle infrastructure. Look for startups. And then when there's anything like in your country, when there is an initiative around building electric vehicle charging stations, if such things ever happen near you, dive in, get in. You're going to get the money. So if you're still investing like fossil fuels will rule the future, you're already behind. Okay, so investment number three that you should not miss, otherwise you will regret it by 2028. When you finish, download this video, bookmark it, and then 3 years time it's going to pop up on your feed. And then don't let it be I told you and that you don't listen, but let it rather be thank God I listened. Because regret is not a financial strategy. So digital assets and AI infrastructure. You can see what the NVIDIA stocks is doing. When China came up with DeepSeek, everybody said, oh, okay, that's killed NVIDIA because they used a fraction of what NVIDIA uses and what ChatGPT runs on. They just use a very, very tiny fraction to do that. Oh, the NVIDIA stocks just crashed. But what has happened since that time? So it's a movement that can't stop. That's one, AI infrastructure. But the other one is cryptocurrencies and blockchain. I had avoided crypto for a long time because I had my fingers burnt starting, following a guy who we paid to, sort of teach us. Today he will tell us, bring this amount of money so that we can put in crypto and all that. I lost millions and I totally forgot it until just recently. And I said, this is something that has come to stay. By the way, I noticed that some of you have been here and haven't felt your love. If you're getting value, please say so. And if you're getting value, please say so. And give it a love. Yeah, give it a love. Give it a love. Optimistic said, yes, NVIDIA is nearing $4 trillion. Can you imagine that? $4 trillion. Yeah, $4 trillion. That's it. And it's just beginning. Don't miss it. I personally invest in NVIDIA. And then there's another company involved in batteries, for EVs and things like that that I invest in. Don't miss this wave. That's it, okay? Now, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies are no longer just buzzwords. I was telling you that I miss them, but no more. No more. I have a formula for growing my net worth. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not rich. I'm doing this because I'm taking you along my journey. I'm not rich. I will be one day. So I just want to make that full disclosure so that there will be some authenticity here. Because I think on one particular day, somebody came to ask, are you a millionaire? No, I'm not. But I'm on a very amazing journey. I'm on a very amazing journey. And I'll be very, very selfish if I don't share it with you. So there's one thing I do that always, each time I do it, it magnifies my net worth significantly. Because you should be monitoring your net worth. You should know your net worth. You should know that figure in your head. And then you need to say, at the end of December 31st, you need to be able to see how your net worth has performed in the 1 year. You need to be able to do that. Okay, so now I called this guy. I chanced by someone who has been in this crypto thing for 10 years. He's gotten results. He's got his fingers burnt in the process of learning. So I reached out to the guy. He said, this is amount in dollars. I wired the dollars to him. Today, he charges $1,000 to teach you. I wired the dollars to him. One session, just one session. We haven't had another session. One session. I'm already into this thing. So, and I'm seeing where the mistakes, because what I would have learned in 5 years, he showed me those pitfalls. So he reduced my risks. He reduced my ignorance, because if you invest in anything you don't understand, you will lose money. You will lose that money. And just one session with him, the whole thing connected. And then since then, like every day, I consume at least 2 hours of information on Bitcoins, on cryptocurrencies. And it's amazing. So your problem with crypto is not crypto. Your problem with Bitcoin or blockchain, it's not any of those things. Your problem with it is ignorance. It's ignorance. So ignorance is like darkness. Ignorance is like blindness. And then when you don't take time to either seek active mentorship Because a lot of say, oh, it's $1,000 just to have a session. It's too much. Who told you? Do you know the upside of the $1,000? Because even some of the coins that we have picked, that he picked, because he started with showing me and telling me, okay, invest in these ones. And guys, I'm seeing the P&L every day. I'm seeing daily P&L, 1 week P&L, 30 P&L. And it's amazing to me. And I'm learning. Now, I even now have learned how to pick my own, how to pick the coins. Not just any kind of coins. I have a place where I now discovered I could go and check the history, who started the coin, what portfolio backs it, and things like that, everything. And I can see the charts. I started picking by my own just because I paid somebody to say, teach me. So, if you've been having problems with crypto, you'd better solve that problem now, because if you don't get familiar with bitcoins, you don't get familiar with blockchains, you don't get familiar with how cryptocurrency works, by 2028, you will regret it because you're going to be left behind. Okay? So according to Coin Market App or CAP, the cryptocurrency market cap has grown by over 200% in the last 5 years. Now, as to AI infrastructure, AI is not replacing jobs, but AI will replace people without systems. So digital assets are what I would call tools of sovereignty. Because many of us who don't understand the history of money and what this thing called money is, we're going to be caught unawares. Because tools of sovereignty, blockchain, is already changing all that. And when I started paying serious attention to Bitcoin was when Wall Street started getting into it. When major organizations now started using Bitcoin as their currency base, as their treasury base. When governments are now keying into Bitcoin and even talking about having part of their reserve, not in US dollars, but in Bitcoins, you'd better pay attention. You better pay attention. You might just wake up one day and then your paper money, your fiat money, you don't have anything. So that is something that you want to do. Where do you start? You can actually start with something like $10 a week. I started small. And then invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, you also explore AI-driven royalties. There are AI that people use. One of the people in the mentorship, in the financial fitness group, makes music with AI. Some make audio beats. The beats that you normally would have to go and pay. If you're a musician, you know what I'm talking about. You pay people hundreds of thousands for a beat. Now you just do that in minutes with AI. So explore all those things. But let me put a caution. Never invest in what you don't understand. But at the same time, don't use confusion as a reason for inaction. Confusion is not a reason for inaction. It's not an excuse. The only way to deal with confusion is to make learning your primary investment. Your wealth is here. It's not in the market. Therefore, let developing your mind. Coming for this kind of live session. Can you imagine what you've learned tonight? You could have used this time to watch Netflix or watch some Nollywood movie and things like that, but you wouldn't be aware of these things. And then there's so many things like that, all over the place that you can learn on a daily basis. So you make learning your daily habit. Learn about these things and then take action. So digital assets, what real estate was in 1910 is what digital asset is today. So you want to key in big time. And then what can you do? You can respond in one or two ways. You can say, okay, Ogbo, thank you for this. I will do it myself, which is fine. Because I have over 500 videos that teach you things like this. And then some of them, I even put free worksheets to help you to make it happen. So you can do it yourself. But maybe you're already 30, in your late 30s, you're in 40s and 50s and even 60s listening to this. And you're like, listen, I don't have time to go and start learning these things on my own, trying to figure it out on my own. It's not that you can't, but it might take you the next 5 years to figure it out. People who join the financial fitness have already, in the past 1 month, past 2 months, past 2 or 3 cohorts, have already made millions. Even from like one simple recommendation. I said, buy this. After doing my analysis, buy these 7 penny stocks. People have made tens of millions just being part of that group. In the past 3 weeks, in the past 2 months. So because these people said, okay, we can figure it, because you're brilliant, you can figure it on your own, but I don't have the time. I'm 45, I'm 52. So mentor me, help me, just guide me to be able to do that. That's why I set up the Financial Fitness Challenge. It's my mentorship group. Early bird, $105 or 105,000 Nigerian naira. That's it only. So if you want to join, because after this cohort, which is starting tomorrow, after this cohort, this July cohort, I'm not doing another one until September or October, because by the end of July, I would have done this thing I'm doing tonight for 1 year. I started July of last year, and I said, I want to show up for 1,000 days. 1,000 days. So this thing will end in August 2027. That's when I will stop doing this live thing. And I started on Facebook. Then Facebook said, oh, we won't store your videos, we'll delete them. And I said, okay, it's even better to come on YouTube. YouTube is not deleting the live video. So this video will still be there for you to replay and to come back to. So you can send a WhatsApp message. It's in the description of this video. Just say, send me payment details. That's all you need to say on that. Don't tell long stories. And you will receive the direction to pay. And then you can join the class tomorrow, because after this one, we are not doing another one until October, September or October, because I'm taking one month off from live after doing this for 1 year. So to wrap this up finally, so I just want to remind you of what we have done tonight. Regret is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers, you should have acted in 2025. It's not loud. It won't be loud in 2028. 2028, as you're sitting in that chair, still stressed about money. Regret will just whisper, you should have done what Ogbo told you in 2025. Don't let that be you. Okay? Because you still have time. You don't have forever, but you have enough time to do that right now. So the future does not belong to the smartest. It belongs to the most prepared. 2028 will arrive. It's going to arrive. You can't stop it. Okay? So whether it's a reward or a regret is entirely up to you. Okay, so you need to take action now. Don't wait. Start from where you are with what you have to accomplish what you can. Don't even start complaining about, oh, I don't have money right now to invest. Yes, you do. Stop waiting until you have $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Start with that $1, like the $2. Did you know the crazy thing about the stock market? In fact, particularly the Nigerian stock market. Do you know the crazy thing about that? That with the price of pure water, you know this in Nigerians call pure water, sachet water, that's extremely cheap. Extremely cheap. I think it's like 20 naira, or let's say it's even 15 naira. Is it 15 naira? Yeah, 15 naira. Wow, the way this country has. So that's 15 naira. With the price of that, of one sachet of water, you can become an owner in First Bank. 50 naira. You can become 50 naira. You can become an owner in First Bank. In fact, most of the stocks, with 50 naira, you can actually buy Qtix. You become an owner in Qtix. And in fact, not just an owner, you have like up to 14 shares, 50 naira. That's an amazing thing. So anybody can start. Anybody can start with. So start with what you have. Don't bother about the one you don't have. Right where you are in that market. If it's in Uganda, start there. If you're in Cameroon, start there. If you're in St. Fiji Island, start there. If you're in St. Lucia, Trinidad, Tobago, start there with what you have to do what you can where you are. The most important thing is to be engaged and not let 2028 meet you with regret. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is where we will draw the curtain tonight. It's been wonderful. And if you did get value, go ahead and share this with everybody. And then you can always come back to this video to reflect more on it, to replay it and then reflect more on it. And then you can share it with your colleagues, with your family members. Because in 2028, if you are the only one standing in your family, you're still going to have money worries because they're all going to come to you. But right now you can say, let everyone grow together. So thank you for being with me. And then whatever happens, keep showing up because you have no idea what's coming your way. I'm going to see you exactly same time tomorrow. God bless you.